There is a pattern hidden in the fabric of reality, not random, not accidental, but geometric, precise, and infinitely repeating. From the spiral of a galaxy to the curve of a seashell, from the structure of DNA to the rhythm of your breath, the same shape appears, the Gnostic. And one man dedicated his life to proving that this form is not just common, it is fundamental. Nassim Haramein. Not a mainstream physicist, not a traditional academic, but an independent researcher who dared to ask questions no one else would, about the nature of space, time, black holes, and consciousness. His work, though controversial, offers a radical new model of the universe, what he calls the holofractographic universe. At its core is a simple yet profound idea. Space is not empty. It is full. So full, in fact, that every point contains the information of the whole. Haramein calculates that the vacuum energy of space, what science calls quantum fluctuations, is so dense that a single cubic centimeter holds more energy than all the matter in the observable universe. This isn't speculation, it's extrapolation from known physics. But mainstream science ignores this because the numbers are too large, too disruptive. Haramein doesn't ignore it, he builds on it. He proposes that atoms are not mostly empty space, they are miniature black holes, connected through space-time to the entire cosmos. The proton at the center of every atom, its density matches that of a black hole. The nucleus? A singularity. The electron cloud? Not orbiting randomly, but riding waves of space-time geometry. This means you are not made of solid particles. You are made of dynamic relationships, vortices in an infinite ocean of energy. Your body is not separate from the universe. It is the universe expressing itself locally, temporarily in human form. This is not poetry. It is physics, reimagined. And it changes everything. Because if every atom is a black hole, then every person is a universe. And if space is full, not empty, then there is no true separation. Everything is connected, interwoven, communicating instantaneously through the structure of space itself. This explains entanglement, intuition, synchronicity, not as mysteries but as natural functions of a unified field. Haramein's vision is not of a mechanical universe, but of a living, breathing, conscious system, where mind and matter are not opposites but expressions of the same underlying reality. The first revelation is this: you are a black hole. Before you dismiss this as absurd, consider the evidence. In physics, a black hole is defined by its Schwarzschild radius, the point at which gravity becomes so strong that not even light can escape. Haramein applied this formula not to stars but to protons, and what he found was extraordinary. The Schwarzschild radius of a proton matches its actual size, within the limits of measurement uncertainty. This means the proton has the same density as a black hole, not similar, identical. And if a proton is a black hole, then so is the atom, and so is the body. You are not like a black hole. You are one. A macroscopic expression of infinite density at the center, radiating energy outward in a toroidal flow. The torus is the only shape in the universe that both receives and gives, a continuous loop where energy flows in at the poles, circulates around the equator, and radiates out again. This is not just how galaxies spin, it's how your heart beats, how your lungs breathe, how your thoughts move. The electromagnetic field of the heart, measured by HeartMath Institute, forms a perfect torus extending several feet around the body. Your aura, not myth, geometry. Your consciousness, not confined to the brain, distributed throughout this field. Haramein shows that when you understand the universe as a network of interconnected black holes, you stop seeing yourself as insignificant. You realize you are central, not egoically, geometrically. Every point in space is equally the center, like bubbles in an infinite foam, each containing the whole. This is what ancient traditions meant by as above, so below. The microcosm reflects the macrocosm. You are not a speck in the void. You are the void aware of itself. And your body is not a prison for the soul. It is a portal, a bridge between dimensions allowing infinite consciousness to experience finite form. This reframes birth and death. Birth is not the beginning of awareness. It is the focusing of universal intelligence into a biological vehicle. Death is not annihilation. It is defocusing, the return of localized consciousness to the infinite field. There is no loss, only transformation, no end, only change of state. This is not belief, it is inference from observation, and it carries immense implications. If you are a black hole, then you are not passive. You are a receiver and transmitter of cosmic information. Every thought, every emotion, every intention sends ripples through the unified field. You don't attract reality, you participate in its creation. The second phase is the fractal holographic universe. Haramein didn't invent the idea of a holographic universe. David Bohm and Carl Pribram did, but he took it further. He showed that the universe is not just holographic, it is fractal, self-similar at every scale. Zoom into an atom, and you see structures resembling solar systems. Zoom into a galaxy, and it mirrors the neural networks of the brain. The same geometric patterns repeat: phi spirals, tetrahedrons, caboctahedrons, sacred geometry made visible. This suggests that the universe is not random. It is organized by a principle of coherence, balance, and recursion. Haramein uses this to solve one of physics' greatest problems, the vacuum catastrophe. Quantum field theory predicts that the energy of empty space should be 10^120 times greater than what we observe. That's a 1 followed by 120 zeros, the largest error in scientific history. Most physicists ignore it. Haramein addresses it head-on. He proposes that space is not smooth. It is granular, made of tiny Planck-scale units like pixels on a screen. When you calculate how many of these fit inside a proton and apply holographic principles, storing information on the surface, not the volume, the numbers align perfectly with observed mass and energy. This is called the holographic mass solution. It means the mass of a proton doesn't come from internal parts. It comes from information encoded on its surface, data from the entire universe. In other words, every proton knows everything. This is not metaphor, it is mathematical derivation, and it implies that consciousness is not emergent. It is fundamental, woven into the fabric of space-time. The brain doesn't create mind, it accesses it, like a computer tapping into a cloud network. Damage the device, and access fails. But the network remains. This explains near-death experiences, mystical states, psychic phenomena, not as anomalies, but as glimpses of the deeper, interconnected reality. Haramein's model also unifies forces: gravity, electromagnetism, strong and weak nuclear forces. They are not separate. They are different expressions of the same underlying dynamics. The flow of space-time through the torus. This could lead to revolutionary technologies: clean energy from the vacuum, faster than light communication, anti-gravity propulsion. But more importantly, it shifts consciousness. When you see yourself as a node in an infinite web of intelligence, you stop acting from fear, greed, separation. You begin to live from unity, responsibility, reverence. The third level is consciousness as the ground of being. For Haramein, consciousness is not a byproduct of evolution. It is primary, the source from which matter, energy, space, and time emerge. The universe is not unconscious matter slowly developing mind. It is infinite mind manifesting as matter. This reverses the materialist paradigm. Instead of, how does the brain produce consciousness, the question becomes, how does consciousness generate the appearance of matter? This aligns with quantum physics. Observation affects reality. Particles behave differently when watched. This suggests that awareness is not passive, it is participatory. Haramein integrates this with general relativity and quantum mechanics, showing that space-time curvature, gravity, is directly influenced by information density. More awareness in a region, more coherence, more order, less entropy. This means collective consciousness shapes physical reality. When enough people focus on peace, healing, unity, the field shifts, wars de-escalate, diseases regress, synchronicities increase. This isn't wishful thinking, it's resonance. Like tuning forks vibrating in harmony, minds entrain. And when coherence spreads, miracles happen, not as violations of law, but as expressions of deeper law. Haramein points to experiments like the Global Consciousness Project, where random number generators worldwide show increased order during global events of shared attention, 9/11 New Year's Eve, major meditations. The data suggests that focused consciousness affects the physical world. This gives urgency to inner work, meditation, prayer, gratitude. These aren't just personal practices, they are planetary technologies. Every moment of presence strengthens the field. Every act of compassion expands coherence. You are not just changing yourself, you are changing the universe. This reframes spirituality. It's not about escaping the world. It's about embodying the truth of unity so completely that your very presence heals, transforms, inspires. Haramein often says, "You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop." This isn't poetry, it's geometry. And when you live from that knowing, your life becomes a ritual of alignment with nature, with others, with the cosmos. The fourth step is unification and application. Haramein doesn't stop at theory. He pushes for real-world impact. Through the Resonance Science Foundation, he mentors young scientists, funds research, and develops technologies based on his model. One example, extracting energy from the vacuum, not as perpetual motion, but as tapping into the infinite flux of space-time. Another, understanding water memory and homeopathy through quantum coherence in liquid crystals. These ideas challenge mainstream science, not with dogma, but with mathematics, experimentation, and open inquiry. He doesn't claim to have all answers. He claims to ask better questions. And in doing so, he invites a new kind of science, one that honors mystery, respects indigenous wisdom, and acknowledges consciousness as central. This is not anti-science, it is post-materialist science. It recognizes that objectivity is impossible, because the observer is always part of the system. True science must include subjectivity. It must study not only the outer world, but the inner, dreams, intuition, altered states. Only then can it approach wholeness. For the individual, this means liberation. When you understand that you are not a biological accident, but a necessary expression of cosmic intelligence, fear dissolves. You no longer need to prove worth. You simply are. And in that being, power arises, not over others but within. You become a conduit for insight, creativity, healing. Challenges no longer feel like punishment. They feel like invitations and to grow, to serve, to remember. Haramein's work is not complete, it is evolving. Like the universe itself, it unfolds. But one thing is clear. The old model is collapsing. Materialism, reductionism, separation. They no longer explain reality. A new paradigm is emerging. Holographic, fractal, unified. And those who awaken to it are not just observers. They are participants in the greatest shift in human history. Now the climax. Imagine standing on a beach holding a single grain of sand. You look at it closely. Within it you see swirling galaxies, pulsing stars, flowing rivers of light. Then you look up, at the sky, at the ocean, at the horizon, and you realize the grain of sand is not small, it is vast, and you, the one holding it, are not separate. You are the awareness in which both grain and universe appear. This is what Haramein knows. This is what he tries to show us. You are not lost in the cosmos. You are the cosmos, awake, alive, and infinitely connected. So here's your invitation. Tonight, before sleep, hold your hand open and gaze at your palm. Ask, what am I really? Don't seek an answer. Just stay with the question. And in that stillness, something ancient stirs. something whole, something free.